everyone, and welcome back to the Facilities and Focus podcast. My name is Mackenna Moralez, and I'm the Associate Editor with FacilitiesNet and also your host. Today, I am joined by Gavin Ventresca, a project management specialist leading enterprise scale facilities construction initiatives at Boeing. Gavin drives strategic transformation across 9 million square feet of production, office, and laboratory space and is currently working as a lead project manager for a 400,000 square foot building expansion in support of the Boeing 787 Dreamliner rate expansion. Gavin is backed by a Bachelor of Science in Architecture and Facilities Management and is currently pursuing an MBA at Villanova University with a concentration in finance and sustainability. Thank you so much for joining me today, Gavin. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you. So, thank you for joining the Facilities and Focus podcast. Can you
Of
just
course.
tell us a little bit about your college experience and what made you go into the trade industry?
Yeah. So, first off, I have my undergrad degree from Temple University. I have a degree in architecture and facilities management. Thoroughly enjoyed it, loved it. And what kind of drove me into the trade industry, the facilities industry, was actually in one of those weed out courses that people call it as you're taking your freshman year to try to pick out
Right.
who really wants to do design and who doesn't. I was sitting in that and I said, wow, this design course is very intensive and it sounds like it's going to be a lot of sitting behind a computer 8 hours a day, at least 5 days a week, at least, with my head in my computer doing that the whole time. And I said, I really don't know if that's me. You might be able to pick up from this meeting that I'm a very talkative people person. I like interacting with people and not just talking about myself, but just talking in general. So that's kind of one of the big starting points. And the other part was I like running around. I like managing things. Management is something that is one of my big strong suits. So that kind of drove me into kind of the non-traditional office job, which is what I said in today. So I like the back end administrative portion, but I also like getting on my feet, getting out of the office into the field, seeing the construction projects, leading the teams, figuring out a lot of problems. I like it when I walk into a hot dumpster fire and I'm able to figure out what's going well, what's not, and what we can do to fix it. I really enjoy all those things.
That's very cool. So, did you know about the facilities management industry before going into school, or was that kind of new to you?
So it was I vaguely heard about it from when I toured Temple as a junior in high school. I heard about all the different concentrations you can go into and facilities management being one of them. And then when I was in that design course, I had someone come over and shoulder tap me from an upper class. They said, "Oh yeah, facilities management is architecture in a sense, but it's also more of what you might be looking for as you described." So I necessarily did not know what facilities management was at all until I got into the courses. And when I heard about it, I said, "Wow, that is definitely what I want to do." And one of the other driving factors that pushed me towards it was from a quick Google search and saying, what is the average salary of a facilities manager? And then comparing it to what's the average salary of an architectural designer out of college. And I saw those two numbers. And I said, okay, facilities management it is.
That is like a common consensus within the industry. Maybe not so much the money part, but just like how people tend to kind of fall into it. It's never like their
Uh-huh.
first intention. So it's fun to hear that you first heard about it when you were like what, 18 or
Yeah.
19? That's
Yeah.
younger. That's a lot younger than most people now.
Yes. And I was very glad I heard about it that young because it drove what I wanted to pursue in college. I had an internship before this where I was working in real estate and I said, yeah, this is really not what I want to do. I kind of want to use that piece of paper I'm going to school for 4 years and I want to try it. And I tried it and I really like it.
Right. So is this your first year out of school or first year or two?
This is so I graduated spring of 2023. So this is
Okay.
actually my second year full time as an employee. This is actually my third year actually as an employee, second year full time. So I had an
Right.
internship summer going into my senior year at Boeing, and I have been here ever since. They could not get rid of me.
Young. I feel like there's a big misconception right now when it comes to young people in the industry. A lot
Mhm.
of older facility managers say that they don't want to hire Gen Z because they're lazy. And obviously, this is an audio medium, so they can't see me do
Yeah.
the finger quotes, but they say that Gen Z is lazy and that they're not hardworking and they don't want to get their hands dirty. But you're an example of someone who wants to do all that. Can you just talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so I was actually really hoping you would bring up a question like this because I wanted to hit on the fact that I don't know if it's a cultural shift in, again, I work at Boeing. I don't know if it's a cultural shift in the management structure here or just specifically my senior manager of where we're working, but there is a very large influx of going from interns to full-time conversions and then the responsibilities that you have from year one essentially. I'm running multi-million dollar projects and I have been since kind of day one on the job,
Mm-hmm.
and I am now running hundreds of millions of dollars of projects. And I'm only in my third year, which is amazing to think about. And I have found that I think that they have noticed there is a drive when people are young and hungry in their careers, and the whether it's the fear of failure or just the hunger and drive to do great work is really pushing the success of young people and young talent in today's market. So I think that's kind of what a lot of companies are pushing towards. And a big portion of that kind of ties back into this podcast is the technologically savvy portion of the younger generations. It almost seems
Right.
like the generations above us either don't know how to use the technology to the extent that we do, or the second thing is that they're scared to use it in fear of messing up. Whereas I go into systems and I click around until something works, and when it does, great. If it doesn't work and I get yelled at, whoops, so be it. I won't do it again. So that's something that I really like is just the flexibility of being able to go and use all these systems, how they work together, what you can do with them. And that's been really exciting. So yeah, I see the generational shift, and I hear the fear that the older generations have trusting people with projects like this. But I will say, I don't know if it's a generational thing or a technologically thing, but we are very fast learners. Especially
Right.
myself, I like to learn. Like I'll go home, I'll hear stuff in the office and say, "Oh my goodness, what the heck is a chilled water system with this 4-inch carbon steel pipe compared to stainless steel? What are the benefits?" And I'll go home and watch a YouTube video on it and try to figure out what the heck I'm doing at work all day. So that's one piece of it. I really enjoy it.
Right. There's a lot more options out there for us. I'm a few years older than you, not a lot. No, just a few years. But I always say that I grew up with technology and just like
Mm.
grew up with the internet, basically. So I'm able to help my coworkers a lot more because of the technology aspect of it. It's not intimidating for me.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And I think that's a big portion of it. We like to go into systems and do technology savvy things, and that's what we've been doing great. So it's been fun.
Mm. How do you think technology will make the trade industry more appealing for people like you or even younger?
So I think it's adapting. It's adapting at a very fast pace, and with the implementation of all these new systems and even AI, we're realizing that data is valuable, and there is data in the trade industry of what you can do, how expensive it'll be, what's the timeline you can do it in. All those things is extremely valuable data, and all that data runs through technology. So if it's technology running the project, if it is technology to just get something kickstarted and move it along, or if it's just the technology that you use in your everyday life. So, for example, one of the technologies I'm using every day now that Boeing has adapted in um, GREF, which is Global Real Estate and Facilities, the department that I'm in, is Procore. Procore is a great tool. It is used all across the industry. We are still doing a lot of learning as to how we're going to use it, what's the standard operating procedure, but it is an extremely powerful tool, and the industry uses it across the board. So having these new technologies and being able to go in and learn new systems like this is very exciting, that I find for people in the Generation Z like I am, and it's becoming very appealing because it keeps you out in the field. I find it as the happy medium between out in the field, running around and coming back and documenting it all, and then issuing all the purchase orders and change orders to the system, and managing all the money and managing all the slide decks, doing all the report outs with management. It has that happy balance, and it is technologically focused at this point. It's becoming that, and it's very, very interesting to see the adaptations that they're making.
Right. So I think so much too in the first couple of years on the job, we talk a lot about finding a mentor. But when you find a mentor, there's also a lot of reverse mentoring that goes on.
Mhm.
Like you're teaching your coworkers how to do stuff too. How do you approach that when it comes to technology?
So teaching people and sometimes teaching and also teaching people who don't always want to be taught can prove very difficult. And that's not just our industry thing. It's across the board. We are creatures of habit. I'm going to say this cliche phrase, but it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks when new technology comes in. And I am all for the new technology coming in and I love it. One piece I think that gets people to open their eyes a bit and kind of listen to someone in a younger generation like I am is just performing at that higher level that you see yourself at and then proving that you are as well. So when we're in our weekly project reviews, me having all my metrics is green and knowing what I'm doing, having the sufficient report outs and proving that I'm doing the work I'm supposed to and doing it well. So just proving yourself and your worth and proving that you know what you're talking about is a huge playing factor in all of that. And also something as simple as having a smile on your face and not just saying you're doing it wrong, you should be doing it this way, and just saying, oh my goodness, you're a silly goose. Why the heck aren't you doing it like this? You can cut off 4 hours of your day today by just clicking this button instead. So that's
Right.
kind of that's how I go about it. And it's kind of gotten to the point where my coworkers are coming to me for questions, whether they're older than me, younger than me, whatever, and just people in the office see that, and everyone goes to each other for questions as much as they come to me. I go to them for questions as well. So it takes two to tango in that sense, and that's kind of how I approach it.
That's so interesting to hear, especially your perspective of kind of prove them wrong because I think the
Show
older
it,
we
don't
get,
tell it.
yes, and just the longer we're in the workforce, I think we tend to forget what it was like to be new. Do you ever
Yes.
feel that intense pressure to prove people wrong?
It's not necessarily a pressure to prove people wrong, but kind of just a pressure to prove myself. I feel as if I've been set in a position where I am responsible for all of this. I'm responsible for this project. I'm responsible for all these metrics. I'm responsible to get this building built so the business partners can go in and produce aircraft inside of it. Like I feel the pressure of just the company as a whole, not so much to prove myself, if that makes sense. And it's kind of just it's that hunger and drive that I have early on in my career, and all my coworkers say, "Oh my goodness, you have this energy that I so wish I had." And I don't know if it's a generational shift or if it's just me being crazy, but I've heard that people say you came in and you learned systems that have been here longer than I've been here and you know them more than I know them. So I don't know if that's me being crazy or just a generational shift, and it's proving as a generation what we can do and that we can do it very well. So I think that is a big playing factor in it as well. Does that answer your question?
A lot of people forget that is that the younger generations they are hungry and when you stifle these learning opportunities they're not going to grow and then they're going to have like a bad taste in their
Yep.
mouth about that and nobody wants that because we want more people to join the facilities management industry. I know that when I first this is not my first job out of college, thank goodness. And um but my first job I was the same age as all my coworkers kids and so they just didn't trust me in that
Hmm.
way because they associated me as a child, basically. So I felt that even though I had the hunger, it was a lot of trying to prove them wrong that I could do all these things. And I
Yep.
wish I had more technology to back me up in that because it could have been a lot more beneficial for
Yeah.
me to help gain their trust.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Um, have you seen, I know we've talked about it a little bit, but have you seen a shift in perception among your peers about skilled trades due to technological advancements?
So yes, I have seen a big perception. I know that it can be quite difficult, and especially dealing with all the business partners and general contractors that we deal with on a daily basis. The adaptation of the new technologies can be quite a learning curve. Going back to the question of what was the main root of the question again?
Um, have you seen a shift in perception among your peers?
Yes. So there's always been, I don't know if it's a company culture, but it's another change, like what's going to happen next. It's always they changed this back in 2010 and it's going to happen again. So it's very disheartening to hear a lot of that. And they just say, oh, there's all these changes, and they really gas it up to everybody and say it's going to change the world and this system's going to build the airplanes for us. It's going to be great. And then it never proves what they say it's going to do. I have noticed that I don't know if that was just a sole perspective from people that I've been hearing it from, and maybe the grouchy people who've been in their position so long, or if they're actually, as a company and as an industry, realizing now that changes need to happen. They're following through with a lot of these changes, and the perception around those changes has gotten better than I've found. I welcome change and I love it because with change means that you can make mistakes. And I really like being able to make mistakes because that's how you learn from your successes. You should learn just as much, if not more, from the mistakes that you make. And I have made quite a few mistakes, and a lot of them being very big mistakes. But I can guarantee that I made that mistake and I will never make that same mistake again. So it's exciting to know that I can mess up and I can really screw some things up, but it's okay and it's accepted because we're all learning and it's all a part of one big change. And in all honesty, as much as we as creatures of habit don't like change, it is never ending change. Since the day I've got here, we've gone through change, and some of it can lead to chaos, but you take it with a grain of salt. And at the end of the day, we're all human. You can't let it get to you, and it ebbs and it flows. There's going to be changes every day with everything that we do, whether it's in work or outside work, whether it's technology or the management structure. It's all going to change. And I think the perception is, as a generation at least, we are acknowledging that change because we just know technology changes so fast. You get a brand new iPhone, and then 2 years later, there's already two more iPhones that are out, and your iPhone can't even be updated anymore because the technology's out of date. So we are
Right.
always welcoming the change in our everyday lives. So I think the perception around change is perceived a lot better than it has been in the past.
I love what you said about liking to make mistakes because I think that's so true. And I think we, as younger people, are more accepting of making mistakes. And
Uh-huh.
obviously, no matter what, people are going to beat themselves up about it. But like you said, if you don't fail, how will you grow? And I always like to say
Yes.
that each mistake is like, I'm just failing upwards.
Yep.
And technology can really aid in this too.
Yeah. And the technology documents it all, which is great. And you're able to send it an email to all your coworkers and say, hey, I really screwed up on this, by the way. Be sure not to do this because I just did. So that
Right.
piece I
And
really like too.
even with like the communication aspect of it, especially because I don't know how you guys are, but being remote for so long because of the pandemic,
Uh-huh.
we technology grew. I think they said 3 months in like a 2 month, or I'm sorry, 3 years in a 2 month period, and we were never able to just like instantly chat our coworkers until then. And it's amazing to see the advancements, and I don't know what I would do without Microsoft Teams now.
Yeah. Yeah, and that technologically advancement that you were thinking of, I know there was a quote I heard from, I think it was Forbes, the Wall Street Journal, that it said in February of 2022 there was more technological advancements in just that 1 month than the past 10 years combined. And that is all due to AI and how much quicker we can sort through data and information than we have been able to in the past. So technology is an exponential curve, and so is AI. And I think that our generation welcomes it, which with much bigger open arms than past generations. Maybe it's because of the excitement that we have, or because the fear that they have of the change. I'm not sure, but I love it. Frankly, I love to see it, and I'm really excited to see where we land in 2 years from now.
Right. And while change is scary, it's a good thing. So if things haven't changed since 2010, what are you guys doing? What are you
Exactly.
doing? That's 15 years ago. It doesn't
Yeah.
seem like it, but it is. It's
Yeah.
15 years. And we have to be able to adapt or else you're going to be behind. And in industries where with facilities management where it's so like hands focused,
Uh-huh.
make your life a little easier so that you can be in the workforce
Exactly.
longer. It's so taxing on your body. And if there is technology that can help you and not hurt yourself, why would you not jump at that chance?
Exactly. Exactly. That's a very good point. Yeah, technology is there to help us. Um, We got to be careful it doesn't jump out of the toolbox and not use it as more than a tool and use it as a driving factor. It's there as a tool, and we should be utilizing it to the full advantage that we can.
Right. So can you actually just expand on that a little bit more? Why do you think technology is a tool? Because it can't
So
really fit in the tool belt at all.
exactly, it can't fit in a tool belt, but it can fit inside of our computers. It can fit inside of our phones. It can fit on the projection screen at the front of the room. So it should be there as a tool. Data is a great thing. If the data is garbage in, it's going to be data garbage out on the backside. You should be utilizing it to your full advantage, and utilize it as a tool, again, there to help you. If you're not utilizing it as a tool to help you, it's going to hurt you. It's there as a tool, and if you don't know how to do something, it can be as simple as asking ChatGPT or asking Gemini and say, I'm trying to send an email to a business partner and break the news that they can't move into the space until a week after. How the heck do I do it in a nice fashion? What are some words I should use? Or I'm trying to make a graph in Excel, but I can't get the axis label to read right. Why is it horizontal? What can I do to make it vertical? Something as simple as that. You need to use it to your advantage, make it read well, and have it tell the story. Show it, don't necessarily tell it. Have the technology and the tools tell the story for you, so you're showing it and it's not just coming from your mouth. If it can be shown, you don't need to say it with your mouth, if that makes sense.
It totally does. So how do you leverage technology to help boost yourself in your career?
People like numbers. They like numbers, especially the industry I'm in, working with engineers. They like to see numbers on a spreadsheet. They like to see the data. You can say 15 people didn't show up for work today, so we can close this portion of the building. We don't ever have to use it again. They are going to say, okay, great, thanks for saying that out loud. Show the graph of who actually swiped in to get in the office today. What occupancy sensors were there and said, here's a chair, here's a cubicle. There's no person in the chair. There was not a person in the chair the whole day. The numbers talk. They like to see the data behind it. So that is one critical aspect of utilizing it as a tool. Again, have it tell the story for you. Use it to tell a story. Don't just be saying it. You gotta have the backup behind it. Does that answer your question?
It does, and that makes a lot of sense. People do like numbers. Numbers talk.
Yes, and graphs.
And they
They like
talk
the numbers in a
loudly.
graph. It works great. Yes.
But with using that data, because the facilities management industry is a little bit older, how do you get them on board rather than just say, like, trust me on this?
So that's kind of a layered question. I'm going to try to peel back the onion here. It's hard to describe to them when they don't understand where the data is coming from and what the sources are. They kind of do have to put trust in you, but if you prove that here's where the data came from, here's how I collected it, and it's in forms and means that they understand, it should be a lot easier to convey the message than trying to explain it to them. If you say there was literally an occupancy sensor there that said, there's a person in this chair, there's not a person in this chair. We had 6 slips, trips, and falls last week. We didn't have 6 slips, trips, and falls last week. That is kind of how you get them to understand. Does that answer your question at all? Do you want me to expand more on it?
No, it really does. I'm really thrilled by your eagerness about just the industry and technology in general. I know that right before we started talking about, oh, you're just very chipper today. But I think that's good to hear because there's so many misconceptions on Gen Z, and I don't think that's fair. And like,
Yeah.
I was born in 1995, so I feel like I am the zillennial, if you
Yeah.
will, and I've been hit from both sides of the millennial and the Gen Z train of just like always being called like a lazy person, and I don't think that's true. Like people are just so excited to be in the industry. You just have to put faith in the youths, if you will.
Yes, exactly.
But now that you've been in the workforce for a couple of years, what is something that you would tell the freshmen in your weed out class? What is some things that
Ooh.
you think that they should know?
So in facilities in general, or just as career advice?
Let's do both. Why
Okay,
not?
so as facilities in general, No 2 days are going to be the same, and they will never be the same. You could be handling a hot dumpster fire because you had an explosion halfway across campus and there's a gas line that's currently on fire, or it could be someone yelling at you because it's the third time that they're asking you to fix their broken chair. And that could all happen in the exact same day. So, and that's the beauty of it. You never know what you're walking into, and I really like that. Like I said, I like walking into the hot dumpster fire and figuring it out and solving it, and then going back and saying to my manager and saying, "Hi, look what I walked into, and look at what I did. Like, look at how of a great job I figured it out. Here's what the situation was, here's what my actions were, and here's how I solved it, and here's how we can do better next time." So that is something that is a big hitting point, and I want to tell people. So that's facilities focused, and then in general, as a career advice, do what you want. Like you're gonna hear this all the time. And there was a quote that I told my stepfather, who is definitely in a different generation than us. So I told him, I said, "Yeah, you're supposed to work to live, not live to work." And his response was, "Oh, it's definitely a different generation now, isn't it?" And I was like, "Really? You think that you are put on this earth to work? That's what your view is?" And maybe his view was because he loves what he does. I don't know if he truly loves it that much that he believes he was put on this earth to work. Maybe, I don't know. But if you do what you love, you're never going to work a day in your life. And I do truly love my job, and I love the responsibilities that I have. And I like running around like a chicken with my head cut off a lot of the time because it's just exciting. And I like watching. I say, "Wow, it's already 2 o'clock. I gotta leave. I gotta leave in an hour." And it can be very stressful sometimes, but the stress is what drives the change and gets stuff done and quickly. So I really like that. And kind of the overall message for whether in facilities or in the trades or career in general, do what you like. Don't be afraid to do what you like. Go for it. Do stuff you hate. And you can check the box and say, "Wow, I did it. I really didn't like it. I'm not going to do it again." And I know that that's not what I want to do for the next 40 years of my life until I retire. So
Right.
just try it out. Try everything once. And if you like it, great. If you don't, move on and try something else.
Right, because hot take, you should like your job. You
Yes.
spend
Yes, you
most of your
should.
day working, so you should like it. And everybody I know, I mean, they could be lying to me, but I think they're being truthful. Everybody likes facilities management because
Yes.
of the unpredictable nature of it and
Yep.
being able to be a problem solver every day.
Yes. Yep. Yep. And there's a beauty behind it. And I like that. I like it a lot. I
Yeah.
love it, actually.
And then, Gavin, I just have one last question for you. But what
Yes.
advice would you give to other young professionals looking to use technology as a differentiator in their careers?
Don't be afraid of it. Click around till something works and keep manipulating it until it tells a story that you want it to tell. Don't manipulate the data, but use the technology in a way that you can to make yourself look better, to make your numbers look better, present your data in a meaningful way. Don't skew the data. Don't make science tell the story that you're trying to tell. Don't make science and the data fall in line with what you already made up ahead of time, but let the data tell the story. Let the technology be utilized as a tool, and take it to your full advantage. If use what's out there, what's available. There are so many free systems that are available today, especially to students. You can get AutoCAD and all the entire BIM software for free as a student, whether you're in architecture or not. You can get it for free. The entire Adobe Creative Cloud, a lot of times, if you're at a university, they will give it to you for free. So take full advantage, play around with it. Find out what you like, find out what you don't like. It all kind of boils down to that.
Right, there's lots of resources out there. I know that a lot of universities give out all of like the Microsoft products for
Yeah.
free. Download
Yep.
everything and then don't get rid of that computer.
Yes,
Keep it.
exactly. Even in high school, my high school had the entire 365 platform for free. I think not even high school, from first grade. 365 wasn't invented when I was in first grade, but by the time I think sixth and seventh grade came around, 365 was a thing you could share. You had OneDrive, and we had access to it from every single person in my school district had access to it, and I loved it because we never had to pay for it. I know not every school district has that, but utilize it to your full advantage and take full advantage of all the opportunities that come your way because you will find something that you like.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Gavin. I really appreciate you taking time out of your day to talk to me.
Yes, no problem. Thank you for interviewing me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to the Facilities in Focus podcast. Facilities in Focus is a product of the facility market, which houses FacilitiesNet, building operating management, facilities maintenance decisions, and healthcare facilities today. Thank you to our sound and video editor, Paul Ellertson. Thank you to Morgan Johnson for designing our logo. Thank you to Dan Walton, Dave Lubach, Dan Hounsell, Jeff Warden, Jill McDermott, and everyone else at Trade Press Media Group. For comments, or if you are interested in being a guest on Facilities in Focus, please email us at fnpodcast@tradepress.com.